Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Colchin. Today with me, a very special guest. She was the runner-up of the most recent Golden Bachelor Season 2. I believe she was Pace Case's MVP of the season. I know she was my MVP of the season. Please welcome Cindy Cullers. Thank you for joining us.
It is absolutely my honor. I can't even believe that I'm sitting here talking to you.
The honor is all mine. You have no idea.
I don't think you have any idea. I didn't know that this whole microcosm existed around reality TV. I went on the show.
Oh my God.
I had no clue.
Interesting.
Somebody clued me into your podcast after episode 1. And they're like, you have to watch it. It's so and I've been watching you all season. I cannot wait to tune in on Thursday mornings. I wait for you to drop and then I'm on it. I've listened.
That's fantastic.
It's just been so funny.
Well, that's very high praise. I mean, yeah, we're, I would say, kind of like in that middle tier of Bachelor coverage podcasts. There are the big ones like Nick Vial has a podcast where he talks about Bachelor and stuff. But just across the board of all reality TV, there are some huge podcasts. I think that's how Call Her Daddy kind of started talking about reality TV and then, of course, became what she became.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed you all season long. It's just been a hoot.
Well, we have enjoyed your play as well. We're going to get into that. But first, I want to start this interview, if I may, where I like to start them all. Okay. Where did you grow up?
Well, that's always hard to answer because I grew up in Houston.
Okay.
And I spent every summer of my life on a farm in Wilbur, Nebraska.
Okay.
So even though I was in Houston, I don't know Houston very well because I never had any discretionary time there, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Houston. You're from Texas too, aren't you? Aren't you?
Yeah, Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
Suburbs thereof. And obviously you were a Dallas Mavericks dancer for a time.
I was for a hot minute.
So did you live in Dallas then?
I did. I went to SMU for my undergraduate.
My second book is set at SMU. All the main characters are SMU students going through the Greek system and doing their undergrad and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I was there, 80% of those people who could pledge did pledge.
Yeah, that's why I set that book there. I wanted it to be a real kind of like dark look at the Greek system. And I knew that school was a big one for that.
You peel the curtain on everything. You should be wicked too. Like
I do what I can. All right. So you grow up in Houston. Eventually you become a Mavericks dancer. Take us through how that happened and why was that an aspiration, et cetera, et cetera.
So when I was younger, like around 11, I kind of knew I wanted to be this thing called a biomedical engineer. And I honestly, at 11, you don't know what you're talking about. It just literally, all I knew is I wanted to get a degree with some math in it and biology, my two passions. And I wanted to sell artificial organs. I don't know. Just don't ask me why. It just has always been a fascination of mine.
Yeah.
Still not a big technology. So I'm retiring without it. That's what I wanted to do. Having said it, very big sports fan, massive sports fan, both baseball, football, pretty much you name it. I love it. Yeah. And so I was looking at D1 schools where I could cheer for a top 10 football team.
Okay.
And so that limits, like, first of all, what schools have biomedical engineering, and then what schools had great football programs. And honestly, I was all set to go to Notre Dame, had scholarships there, had my dorm assignment. And then in May of my senior year, I ended up going to SMU for this crazy cheer competition. And I looked around and I was like, what am I thinking? This is just why I'm living now. Why do I need to go to Notre Dame? So I went to the admissions office and I sat on the curb outside of admissions. I could still feel the temperature of the curb on my legs as I'm handwriting my application to SMU. I get a call the next week from the Dean of Engineering. Says, I'd love to come down and meet with you. Came down, full scholarship to SMU. And of course, while I was there, we did get the death penalty. So it kind of abrupted college experience. But while we were there, we actually beat Notre Dame in the Aloha Bowl on my birthday when I was cheering.
That is wild. So that must have been a moment for you where it felt like the universe was saying you made the right decision. Everything's great. You know.
And then from there, to answer your questions about the Mavericks, I'd taken a trip to Italy with my company. I was selling semiconductors. And they had an all-call for Maverick dancer auditions. And they had a kind of an exhibition team the year before that I had a friend on who was a big, like, cousin of one of the people that I cheered with at SMU. And she's like, you ought to do it. It would be super fun. And I was like, I just got back from Italy. I'm just tired. And I had a friend named Joe called me that morning going, hey, good luck. And I'm like, I'm not going to go. You need to go. And I showed up to this arena, like 400 beautiful Dallas women. And I'm barely dragging myself, jet lag self out of bed. And I'm like, I don't think this is for me. And got down to the final, and they put me on the team, and I loved it. I loved doing PR for them. I was paired with Rolanda Blackman for that's
cool.
Fun. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. They paid us nothing. I would have paid them. It was amazing.
Well, there was a big reality show this past year on Netflix about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And it seems that they still were paying them almost nothing, even though the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are like an institution unto themselves. And they're in some people's eyes, mine included, they're as much a part of the identity of that football team as the football players are. And part of this past season was about those Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders trying to get more money for the incoming classes and stuff. I want to go back and talk to you about this biomedical engineering. So your passion was creating artificial organs?
No, it was selling them.
Okay, sorry.
I never wanted to go to med school. Never.
Yeah.
I probably did think about it for a hot minute.
Yeah.
But I really feel like there's a connection that happens in the universe. And I just have a connection, typically matching people and stuff, whether, I don't know if it was friends or, and so sales has always kind of been kind of natural for me. Like when my kids did Joel Team, we sold car wash books and we had to sell 10. I'm like, 10? I sold 400. What? They're like, Cindy, we can't make 400. I'm like, well, we sold them. We better figure it out. Like just kind of, and it's, I just always have had a natural tendency to make connections in the universe.
But you were interested specifically, like you said, in printed or lab grown organs. What do you think that
artificial organs, like, can we create a heart that's not 100% organic? Can we make a mechanical heart? Can we make it not? And I have a little bit of a fascination with prosthetic limbs.
Okay.
A little bit. This BioLink, boy, that is very interesting to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff, I think, going on in that field and have been for a long time. They've been doing like stem cell growing ears and stuff like that using, I think, pig cultures. It fascinates me as well. And everywhere that we're moving kind of, I guess, as a species in terms of biomedical stuff or anything really for that matter, technologically. But I was just curious what put you down that path, maybe, because it is like, it's very specific.
Very specific. And I also was blessed to be the valedictorian of my school and a cheerleader. Oh, wow. And so like, I really, anytime that people thought they understood me, maybe they thought I was smart. I'm like, yeah, but I also cheer. And I cheered. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also smart. So I really like challenging people's understanding of what they're looking at. Like, I'm not who you think I am.
Okay.
You might want to pull back the curtain and look a little closer.
All right. Fascinating. Well, let's pull back the curtain on reality television. You obviously just came off of Golden Bachelor season 2, but I want to ask you about what has your relationship basically with reality TV been prior to that? Have you watched a lot of it? What was the first show you ever watched, if you can remember?
I did watch Tristan's season of The Bachelorette early on, right? Early on.
Yeah.
I had a busy family, so I wasn't really, until streaming started, it was hard to catch me sitting down and watching any particular show. So I hadn't really been a reality person or lived in the reality world at all. And I got into this because my youngest daughter got a casting call on her Instagram, like, hey, we're still looking for final candidates to join this season's Golden Bachelor. And she's like, well, my mom just broke up with her boyfriend. It's time. Let's see what we got, and kind of rolled the dice and threw me in the mix, kind of late in the season.
And had you seen either of the other 2 Golden seasons prior to this?
I did. I've definitely watched Golden Bachelor. And then I made the guy that I was dating, he also watched the Golden Bachelor.
Okay.
And at first it was like pulling teeth. And then after a while, he was like, well, doesn't the show start? Like, can we watch it live tonight?
Yeah.
So it is kind of fascinating. And I found it very sweet,
Oh, totally. That first season was like a work of art. I don't know. It was one of, I think, the greatest Bachelor products ever made, that season 1. Gary Turner, I know there's all kinds of stuff outside the show and people can make their opinions about this or that in his life, but I think he was really kind of a perfect first Golden Bachelor. And that cast of women on that season was stellar. Like every one of them was hilarious and interesting and had an amazing story, and you really felt for them. And I think what the Golden franchise really did, it established in that first season a kind of different tone from the younger one, in that it was mainly about the camaraderie of the players. Yes, the lead was there, the Bachelor was there, and he was great in his season. I'm not taking anything away from Gary Turner, but like that show really was about those players and their friendships and the chance to go on like another adventure, that type of a thing.
Yeah. We had, in the house, there was a moment in one of the episodes where everybody from my room gets let go. But of course, what ends up after the editing is me in this moment. It's getting real. Well, that wasn't about Mel. That was about the moment at which it turned for me personally from having that adventure with all these women, like fun. We're in Malibu. We're at this mansion. It's like a sorority house. And now I'm faced with like nobody in my room is left.
Yeah.
And I used my roommates. They were my support and my beloveds. And now it had to focus on Mel.
Yeah, it's
no other reason to be there.
It's an interesting thing, I think, in The Bachelor or any show like this that kind of brings together a group of people in the strange game that you're all playing. The only people that will ever be able to understand it are the people that were there. And so I think immediately that bond of friendship is made. Even in the younger version of the show, I think that type of a thing still exists. There's a little more animosity in the younger version for various reasons, but to me, that's why I watch it. That's why I watch Golden. So let's get into this season of Golden Bachelor. In the days leading up to this, all players are sequestered in hotel rooms. You're only talking to producers for 2 or 3 days about what your limo entrance might be, about what you're going to wear, these types of things. At that point, did you know about Mel's appearance on that podcast where he said that he wouldn't date anybody over 60, et cetera, et cetera?
Heck yes. Not only did I hear about it, but I went to the source, which wasn't easy to find. I think they tried to bury it a little bit, but I found the source and I listened to his voice in it. Mm-hmm. He was excited about dating an age group that I barely fit in. I'm 60, so I'm in the upper age group. But when I heard his voice, it caused me concern. And even before getting to the mansion, I had a conversation with a producer like, here's my concern about this. Mm-hmm. I have plenty of friends who date younger women. Fine. But this is not going to end well. If that's what you're going in, ask what precautions have you made? Have you talked to him? What was this about? And she assured me enough to kind of continue with the show and to kind of put that aside. But I was concerned, especially hearing his tone. Reading it deeper is one thing, but when you hear kind of his excitement about dating in that category, it was concerning.
It was just like two dudes, talking about like, oh, dude, I'm going to go do this thing. I can't wait. Da, da, da. I agree. Look, we listened to it and we were just like, what the hell? As soon as that, it broke maybe a month after I think he appeared on the show on that podcast. There was another Bachelor coverage podcast that broke the news of it. And we were like, they have to recast him. He's essentially saying the antithesis of the premise of the show in this, and yet they did not.
And yet
we were very surprised by that.
Violate the premise by not being engaged at the end either, or not having any intention to be engaged.
It's unreal. I mean, there were a lot of things in this season that we absolutely loved. You were one of them, and your performance throughout the entire season was just like, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it in any of the Bachelor games. And we'll get to specifically like why what you did is kind of groundbreaking in the game mechanics. But that kind of like beginning the season like that was my biggest question. Did all of the players hear this? Did they know about it? And so you're saying yes, obviously, and they made him come out and give his apology at the what we call the inauguration speech at that first night on night one when he walks in and says, "Cheers, I'm sorry." You were in the first limo, right? I assume that edit was correct. You were the alpha limo entrance. Okay. So in that limo, that's the first time you're meeting any of the other players. As you're riding from the hotel to the mansion, are you all talking about the podcast? Is that a thing that's kind of like in conversation with you?
So when they have us sequestered, they keep us completely separate.
Yeah.
Literally, we're walking down the hallway maybe to do that ABC photo shoot where you see the collage of all of us. Well, that didn't happen by accident. It is a orchestration of, okay, what, Cindy in the hallway. Okay, pull her back. We got Mylene coming. So we knew about all these people. Can I tell a real quick story? This is kind of funny.
Please. That's what we're here for.
Had to schedule gym time when we're sequestered in our room. And literally, you're in a room. There's no phone.
Yeah.
We can call for room service, but that's it. And there's a TV. So there's nothing to do. And a lot of us are pretty active. And so you could schedule gym time in 20-minute segments. So I was lucky enough to get a gym time. They can't promise it to everybody, but we squeeze one in. And so I go to the gym and they have paper on the windows to the gym. And I go in and this guy goes, "Okay, what's going on here? I just saw another one just like you leave." And I whispered, "I think it's sex trafficking."
Oh my God.
Laughing. I go, "No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea."
Yeah.
But they were like systematically bringing women in every 20-minute increments. And this guy was just trying to figure out what the heck was happening in front of his face. It was funny.
Yeah. So bizarre if you know nothing about this.
Yeah. But anyway, back to your question. We are in the limo and we are just so happy to meet the other women. Yeah. My limo is Mylene from Vegas. She was the first person I laid eyes on. And I was like, I need to go home right now. She is so frightening.
Yeah.
So she literally is perfected in person. She is perfect. So sweet. Then I have Lisa in the car. Tracy with the hat is in the car. And Carla. And
God, Carla. I remember we looked at her Instagram at the beginning of this and I was like, if they send her on what we call a forced violence group date, which is like playing tackle football or boxing or something, I'm like, she's going to kill someone.
And she was on my team for cheer, thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
I want Carla. Bring Carla. Yeah. There's no one's going to look at the rest of us, just Carla. She's stunning. So it's an amazing group and you're all just happy to be there. And just, it's a short ride. It's not like we have hours together. And then at that moment, we realize we're the first limo. And then you are the first one out of the first limo.
So you didn't know that you were going to be the alpha until literally the moment it's happening. A producer in the back of the limo with you says, "Okay, Cindy, you're up and go," or what? How does that work?
Pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Like as we get to know each other, my brain is always working. It's the engineer.
Same.
Right? I could tell. Yeah. I can tell. They're like my call time. We do our hair and makeup and then they fluff us. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we know that the limo, I'm not an idiot. The limo happens after dark. It's not dusk. It's dark. Yeah. So I'm looking at the time frame going at 8:30, whatever time that might be. And my call time for hair and makeup is at 11.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that seems to be an awful long time for me to keep this makeup and hair going.
Yeah, right.
I figured I was in the first half. And so I asked the producer if he brought me down. I'm like, so where am I in the lineup? Can you tell me at least that? They're like, well, no, we can't tell you. Like, can you at least tell me this or that, first half or second half? And they said, okay, you're in the first half. And then the next producer told me I was in the first half of the first half. And so I wiggled it down
keeps getting bit. Smaller, yeah.
And then as we got to the limos were picking us up, and I said to the limo driver, I said, is this your first run for the night? So I figured there's probably multiple cars driving. So at least I figure out, and then when we got into the car, they were like, well, we put you in order. It'll be Cindy, you're first. So
wow. And because you haven't studied this game, I take it, you didn't know at that moment that the alpha is actually, it means something statistically, that you have a very good chance of making it far.
I don't even know that at this stage. No,
okay,
I didn't
interesting.
know that. I thought the alpha was just like somebody who they felt confident in breaking the ice and like could step out there and get the ball rolled.
In the modern game, which is everything, what we deem that as is everything after season 13 of The Bachelor, which was Jason Mesnick, the alpha holds like a very interesting statistical position, usually making it to the final four, if not a finalist or a ring winner. But so you step out of this limo and you do what we call an it takes two standee, which is you ask him for a hug and you say, this is going to be the first hug of the night. You better make it good. So you've got a little kind of pre-prepared line. You engage him in an activity that he's required to participate in. That's the it takes two part. Did your training as a Mavericks dancer prepare you in some way for the fact that you were like on a stage, that there are cameras, there are lights? Did it have any crossover?
No, but dating 1.2 million men in my lifetime.
That's a lot.
No, okay. Being on cameras, I don't really think of my time at the Mavs or even at SMU, although I was around camera people for sure.
Yeah.
It was the crowd engagement. And so I'm comfortable last minute in front of crowds. And honestly, the cameras never really got into my head. Okay, except the role in the stand. That was...
Of course.
Together later if you want. But
well, yeah, I want to kind of go through like, you know, almost every play of your season here if you're down for it. But
oh, dear Lord. So the first, when we get out of the limo, Mel's coming at me. And because I've dated, I can tell that Mel is excited to meet all of us too. Uh-huh. And he's coming at me for a hug. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to get him out of his body and into his head. Mm-hmm. Like, this is I want a very masculine man. And sure. I didn't want him to be just frat boy excited to hug the first girl out of, you know, at the formal. Mm-hmm. So that's when I stopped him and said, okay, hold on a minute. Because I saw him really kind of in a mode that I wasn't as happy with as I was when he finally did hug me. And I thought, okay, well, here we go. I got your attention. Hello.
Yeah.
And then we went into the little spiel and they had to get the drone up and going. And since I was the first one, they were having issues with it. So they popped me back into the limo. And when they popped me back into the limo, I did turn to the women and I said, y'all could all go home. This guy is mine. Like,
wow. Pulling a Claire Crawley.
But it wasn't mean. Like literally when they found out I was first out of the limo, I asked them to rock, paper, scissors with me to try to change the order up.
Sure.
And it was a fun banter that we had with the women. But yeah, I immediately was like, this guy's my guy.
So this is like a love at first sight type of a thing.
Love at first sight. And he handles himself and he carries himself like you would expect somebody who's been, you know, in the limelight. And I like that. Yeah. I like he's composed, that he has a very masculine sense about him, that he was cordial, engaging. We played with a couple conversations, just minutes, right? These are milliseconds, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting a good read on this guy.
That's interesting. I mean, I was going to ask you about this because we obviously watched every episode of the show, and all of the podcast stuff aside, which we thought was like grounds for recasting. If your lead goes on a podcast and basically says they're going on the show for the opposite premise of the show, we were like, you got to get rid of him. Obviously they didn't. Then we watched the season and it was like, to us anyway, as viewers watching the edit, we just did not understand why Mel Owens, even podcast stuff aside, he was like not there in most of the show. It felt like there was a time. I mean, we can do some of these things out of order, I suppose. When you told him that you were falling in love with him, what we call a love level 3, you played that. Mm-hmm. It was stone-faced. I gave him my face play of the game that week because I was like, he had no reaction to somebody love level 3ing him. And that moment is just like one in a huge spectrum of moments where he just seemed to not be present or have any emotional reaction. And I know that was in the end, it was kind of like, at least in your story with him, kind of one of the key components as to why you self-eliminated. But that's one of the questions I was going to ask you was like, was there more to him than what we saw in the edit?
I believe so. Yeah. Like the women in the house, my good friends, are like, stop defending him. Like, you're not his girlfriend right now.
Yeah.
why I think we matched intellectually for sure. Here's a man who's in the NFL and is still taking college classes. He's graduated from Michigan. He doesn't need his degree. He's not taking him to finish his degree. He's taking him because he's curious.
What was he taking him in? What college courses was he taking?
So he took debate. And oddly enough, I was a valedictorian cheerleader debate team person. And we talked about the systematic procedures in debate mechanics. Fascinating.
My high school girlfriend was also on the debate team.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet, It trains you in a different sense, and not everybody has that. And one of the producers who was with us was also at the debate team, and everyone else was like, this is the weirdest conversation, but the three of us had 17 more questions.
Of course.
Yeah. What were your topics? And it was fascinating. So there was a lot more to Mel than what they were able to capture. And part of it, honestly, might be because he was a lead that came outside of the franchise, so to speak, and didn't have a background in having gone through the process of what it's like to, try to find a match from the other side.
Yeah.
Maybe, my hot take, and take it for what it's worth, because I'm not a psychologist, but there's a attachment style called an avoidant, somebody who, when they get close to a match, gets scared because you're getting hurt again. And I think that's what I was seeing from Hometowns through the end. Is that
interesting?
Yeah. But
I know
Mel is a great guy. He's funny. He's charming. And if you really
none of that came through in the show.
I know, but look at Tell All.
Sure.
Nobody said Mel was a debt.
No,
Nobody.
I know. And that's like, there was a season, it was season 27 of the regular Bachelor with this guy named Zach Shallcross.
Well,
He now, I believe he's married to his ring winner, Katie Bigger. And
next to him at a UT game a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really? UT. All my friends went there, by the way. I escaped Texas and came to Los Angeles for college, but all my friends, I have tons of friends in Austin where you are as well. Yeah. But that's kind of like Zach Shallcross's season was similar, I think. Everybody that I talked to, all the players who were on that season were like, this guy's amazing. He's super funny. He's super charming. And we were just like, why is none of that in the show? And I know that there's kind of like a formulaic process by which the show is edited every season, and they very rarely will break out of it to show you a little glimpse of who anyone actually is, if it's not in the context of like, this is a group date and the after party, and now you have the one-on-one, and now you have this. But I'm always kind of curious about that. And especially with like in a case like Mel, where kind of universal in the audience, it was accepted that this guy is just like boring. How could he be the Bachelor? And then to hear it from the other side and be like, no, all this crazy shit happened. I don't know. It's always weird when you hear that and you have to wonder, like, why was that the case?
Yeah, I don't know. Or my editing, but
yeah.
He definitely got the edit.
Well, do you think that
like a little bit of a crybaby edit too?
Yeah.
Right. It was a bit of, when on my first date, at the cheer date, I said, I'm falling in love with Mel. What they cut is that there's a lot of different types of love. And this is like puppy love, where you have a puppy and they're so excited and their tail's wagging and you just want to be with them all the time. He just would come in wagging his tail and we just all wanted to be in love with this puppy. Yeah. So, because of the time, they can't include that. So what they include is Cindy's falling in love with Mel. I'm falling in love. Of course. So
they're just looking for those key phrases to be able to cut into your ITM or whatever, and in some cases in reality TV, Bachelor does this for sure. They do a thing called Frankenbiting, where if they don't have the phrase they want, they'll take syllables from other words that you've said, cut it together in a kind of like chopped up version of it, and then play it on the back of your head or on somebody's reaction shot, and you will have never said it, but there it is in the show.
I heard a lot of that in the last episode because you had talked about it on your podcast, and I was like listening for it, and then I was like, there it is. The sound of the waves changed with every
yeah. There's a song in the background just getting chopped up. You're like, wait a minute, what the hell? Once you hear it, and you can never unhear it. Now, like as any reality show I watch, I'm just like, they didn't say that. They didn't say that. And the telltale sign is usually if you're not seeing someone saying it, they probably didn't say it, because they will put that in the edit. If they have you on camera saying it, they're going to use that.
Yeah.
So let's get into your season. This is your first group date. You go to the Coliseum out here in Los Angeles, which used to be an NFL stadium for a minute until the Rams got their new stadium. But it is where USC plays their games. There was an Olympics held there, obviously, in 1984. And you get to basically do a dance routine guided by the Paula Abdul. What was that like for you?
When I was with the Mavericks, we had an assistant director who would fly to LA, and she danced with Paula on the Lakers. And so she would come back with choreography from Paula that she would teach us. So we had choreography from Paula Abdul, and I literally, as far as I went in dance, I never had a dance class. Mm-hmm. And it used to bug my director so badly because everyone else is incredibly, impeccably trained. And I'm just trying to figure it out and do it. But I'd say you put me on the court and I'll sell it. Mm. And I will not remember it that day, but I'll remember it the next day and it won't ever leave. But anyway, it was such a treat to be choreographed by Paula Abdul. And because her moves are so iconic, that's what I modeled. And that's how I danced. And I was in the bus with Jerry, who, of course, was our first impression Rose winner and one of my very dearest friends. We were on the bus and we passed the Hollywood Bowl. And my daughter was auditioning for Diana Ross the day that I went into. And I didn't know if she had made it. And the way it works in LA is you audition. And if you don't make it, they never call you. So you know.
Yeah, believe me, I've been out here selling TV shows for like 30 years at this point. I'm well aware of how the creatives are treated in this town.
Yeah. So she promised me that if she got the job, it was a big job for her. She is so in love with Diana Ross and that genre of music. It was a big opportunity for her. And she'd never performed at the Hollywood Bowl. So it was kind of a big deal. And we passed it up. And I said, Jerry, do you mind if we just pray just for Caroline real quick? And we said a quick prayer about it. And we started talking. And she said, how did Caroline get into dance? And I said, well, I danced a little bit, but she really picked it up as a young girl and has continued with it. But I danced in college, then I danced at the Mavericks. And I said, one of my crowning memories is that Paula Abdul choreographed us. We're saying this on the bus on the way out. That's
unreal.
And we get there, and when they announce Paula Abdul, Jerry looks at me. She's like, what? I go, nobody knows this. This was not produced. Not produced.
God, that's insane.
Insane.
It's
I'm feeling ordained at this moment. Like I'm supposed to be here. That day was designed for me because, as you remember later in the episode, Caroline submits a video from the Hollywood Bowl that we just passed on the job with Diana Ross. And it had to have come in right as they were setting me up to go meet with Mel because in their earpieces are like, pull her back. And there are people around and they're having me wait. And then I pull up and Mel says, I have something for you, and shows the video from Caroline. I'm going to tear up even now. She's with Diana Ross. And then Mel says, he lived across the alley from Diana Ross growing up, which none of this was planned.
Yeah.
That video came in within 5 minutes of me meeting with Mel.
What a wild day. In my kind of older years, the older that I get, the more I get into, kind of messing around with human consciousness and synchronicities and all of that kind of stuff. And when you have a day like that, where the synchronicities are just lining up one after another, it always feels just like it's some focal point or something. It's some meaningful day in your life. That one is insane though. I can't believe that. And then Paula Abdul.
And not just, it wasn't just in my head. Like Jerry was a part of this journey every minute. And she's just kind of like, what is going on? I don't get it. And then they line us up. The Rams cheerleaders split the teams up into two groups. And at this point, it's day one. We don't know each other. We barely know each other's names, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, you come here, you're tall. Monica P., I want you here. I want Carla here. Jerry, come here. You're short. Amy, you're short. You right here, whoever you are, and you come here. And they moved me front and center. And
wow.
And then we learned that we're doing a cheer. I also coached Pop Corner cheer. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but I really wanted all the girls who didn't cheer before
Mhm.
Like I love the idea of everyone being able to do whatever they want. And now
Yeah.
you know my background, I can understand that. So I turn around to our little group and I go, we're going to be just fine. We can do this. We're
Yeah.
going to be just fine. And I'll be darned if those women, most of them had never done anything like this before. They looked completely right. Didn't we look great? They looked
Absolutely. It was probably one of my favorite kind of group date activities of the entire season was that first one in the Coliseum.
well, selfishly, me too. But in addition, I mean, we had Amy. God bless Amy. She's one of the funniest humanoids I've ever met. That
Yeah.
woman. And, you know, part of the team was like, we need to put a shock collar on her and keep her from. And I'm like, so what if she wanders off and pops off a solo? Wouldn't that be funny too? Like, let's just let Amy be Amy.
Right.
And Amy learned to not like she was very impressive. I think all of these women we all had a fun time. We all bonded.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun night for me for sure. But I think
your whole cast was like the season 1 cast, fantastic. I take nothing away from them. The cast for the season, the players, was like literally even on night 1, I was like, no, please don't send her home. Everybody was somebody that I wanted to see go deep into the season, whether they were funny or like Peg, her amount of energy was just, it was like, what is going on? She's going to kick a hole through the wall. This is crazy. Like everyone was just at another level. It really was incredible casting, I thought. All right. So after that group date, you load a love level 3 in one of your ITMs. You say, oh, I think I'm falling in love with this guy. And you were the first one to load that love level 3. It seemed like, at least through the edit, you were kind of on a faster emotional track than anybody else. You were at least in the lead in our eyes. Then you go to the second group date. It is the comedy roast hosted by Jared Freid. Did you know who he was?
I did know who he was. He actually had been in Austin about 6 months prior. I did not know his affiliation with The Bachelor.
Yeah, he does these. What I know him from primarily is he does these things. They're Instagram stories where he's like watching the show and he's storying the screen and saying all this hilarious shit about it. But to us, it was like, oh, they're bringing in somebody who does Bachelor commentary now to be part of the show. And they made a little bit of a push with a bunch of other Bachelor kind of influencer types to go cover Bachelor in Paradise season 10 this past summer as well. And it looked to us like they were starting to get it, was starting to like say, okay, we know you guys do these podcasts and these Instagram accounts about our show. We're going to start making you a part of the show. I just thought it was like a brilliant move, and he was hilarious. But how was that day when people were roasting Mel? Did he take it well?
He did. And let's just go back to Jared first.
Okay, sure.
We all think it's so great to watch comedy, and we could rate everyone on if they're good or bad. But when you have to do it, you get a whole nother appreciation for how hard it is. But that man came in every room. I was in a room with Robin, and you saw in the outtakes that Robin was trying to figure out which direction to go. She inherently is a funny humanoid as well. That she just didn't know which track to go on. And so they were trying to explore that. But he tried to work with each and every one of us and knew a little bit about all of us. So the amount of information that he had to, kind of prepare for us was amazing. And he was so generous and so funny. And I think he helped Mel take the comedy well, but Mel took it like a champ.
Yeah.
He really enjoyed all the women. I wish they had shown that in its entirety. Every woman stepped up and just came with game. It was hilarious. Monica B with her, exits. Amy was bantering with Jared.
Yeah.
She had she'd ripped up her pages and she took a foot out of her shoe, or maybe she came out of both of her shoes and she found one foot in, and she spent the whole rest of her rant with one foot flapping in the air behind her. It was hilarious.
There's so much on those group dates, what we call artistic endeavor group dates, whether it's you have to sing a song or do a roast or dress up or whatever it may be. I really think like kind of the next phase of Bachelor and many of the dating reality shows is that you will get your main episode per week, but that the YouTube channel will have like a 30-minute group date and you get to watch, much more of it. There's just so much content that like actual fans want to be seeing that we don't have any access to unless it's through podcasts like this, where people are telling the story of what happened. Then let's go to this third group date. This is the beach photo shoot. While you guys are doing this, or not while, but in the same episode, Peg gets her one-on-one date at the OC fair.
And you get your almost solo shots. Your cameo.
Yes, that's right. I was there. It's true. I had to get in the document at least once in my life, and I was honored to have been a small part of that day. But we know from reporting at this point that on that one-on-one date, when Peg and Mel step onto the OC Fair stage with Casey and the Sunshine Band, the crowd boos him. When she came back from that date that night, did she tell any of you that?
I heard about it from other people in the house, and I don't know what the original source was, whether it was her or a handler, perhaps, or someone. But I did hear that they got booed.
And what was the conversation or the reaction like with you and the other players to that information?
Well, we just figured it was because of the podcast,
Yeah.
And we're now in a void of information, so we don't know what else is out there. We have no idea. So I think we all just speculated it was because of the podcast.
I've gotten different kind of pieces of information here and there. I heard that someone had spoiled or at least put out the information that date was happening. And so that, kind of inadvertently encouraged a bunch of Bachelor fans to show up to it while the season was shooting. So no one had seen any of it yet, but all we had as fans were like the podcast, basically. He said this thing and they didn't recast him. That's like all anyone was going off. So I think the reaction was probably because of that. But I was just curious if that event in any meaningful way made it into, your guys' circles and how you reacted to it. But
it did, but I don't think for me, or at least the circle that I was running in, that it made a difference in any of our views. Now the pool party made a difference, but hearing that
you're talking about Nicole.
Yeah.
The lemon bars.
Even before the lemon bars, they were mugging down in the pool right in front of, I touched them. I could have touched their shoulder. Like, excuse me.
Sure. I want to get to that, but I do want to say this about Mel and the booing on the stage. I also try to put myself in his position, and to me, that's like, how do you deal with that? Because he had to have known the booing was for him, probably because of the podcast. And I'm sure producers tried to, assuage him and be like, no, it's cool. Everything's fine. But I'm curious if moments like that potentially hindered his performance or made him pull back in some way.
You have a lot going on at that time frame, right? With his ex-wife and the podcast and the pressure of doing the show. I can't even imagine how that changed the way he played, but he certainly didn't withdraw from any of us after it.
Yeah. No, I guess you can't. What choice do you have? You're the lead of this network TV show. You must go forth. So we move now to your one-on-one, which was my favorite one-on-one of the entire season because I love Griffith Park Observatory. It's my favorite place in LA.
How about the two best dates of the entire season?
Yeah. I agree. The horses too. That was kind of cool, riding it up through the mountains or the hills in LA. And they have done, I don't know when this happened, maybe 3 or 4 seasons ago. They just figured out how to shoot the horse right. And it is beautiful every time now. It looks like you're in a movie. I absolutely loved it. But that date is the Griffith Park date is a special one because it has whimsy and magic and the universe and the stars and all of that stuff. So when you're getting that date and it is a little bit later in the season, what is your kind of reaction to that? Do you think it's good, bad that it's this late?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I had a lot of things going on at that point. At that point, Carol and I were locked arms, right? And she and I, neither one of us had a one-on-one date, and we are very protective of our families. We just don't introduce very many people to our families. So without a one-on-one date, the question begs, the question asked is, would you still take Mel home to meet your family if you don't even know him at that point? So to get the one-on-one date, I was relieved for me, but very sad for Carol because I felt the same way that she did. How could I bring him home without having more time with him. So I was very happy, but sad for her.
Her year wound up okay, though, right? The World Series win was probably okay.
And I would have been happy if it were Carol, and Carol was happy that it was me.
Yeah.
But we both would have been sad if it wasn't us. So I think all of those can be true in one, that I could be happy for me and sad for Carol and hold those.
No, totally.
Yeah.
So after this, you have your hometown. It's a fantastic hometown. And this is the part where it ends up, you go back to your condo. They're in Austin and you tell Mel, I'm falling for you. I think you actually said, I'm really, really, really falling for you or something like this. You put some emphasis on it, a little bit of juice. And he gives you the stone face. What was that like in that moment to say that and have zero reaction? Or was there a reaction that we didn't see in the edit?
Okay, let's go rewind it a little bit more, because my kids got to meet him. So my 3 daughters and my one son-in-law, one almost son-in-law at the moment. I want to say they're protective of me, but they've watched me date, and they're over the phase that kids can be in of, I'm so protective of you that no one's going to be good enough, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like they're not being unreasonable, but what you really see on the show is about all the contact I had with my kids. So Sarah had talked to Mel first. She's my oldest, and she was the only one that I spoke to after they spoke with Mel. And you saw her concern. She's like, I'm not sure he's meeting you where you are. Like, are you sure that he's going to be there till death do you part? And that had me concerned. Like, what did he say? What did you talk about?
Yeah.
The other kids, when they hugged me goodbye, the producers are shoving him out. We're gotta go, partly because of the schedule, partly because the void of information is important as you're in this microcosm of, the Bachelor bubble. So they're tapping their mics as they're hugging me, so it can't be recorded. My kids.
Brilliant. Yes. Oh my God.
The other 2 are tapping their mic and they're hugging me. They said, we trust you, Mom, but use your discernment. That's all they got. And then they pried him away from me. Mom, I love you. It's so good to see you, but use your discernment. That's what I heard from my kids. And so in my head,
oh my God,
I know. I'm like, what the heck? What happened?
This is such high level play. You have no idea. To mess with the technical recording, to make footage unusable or audio unusable is like, that's high level game IQ there. I don't know how much reality TV your kids have watched, but holy shit.
Yeah, my older one should be a spy. But anyway, they teach me this. And I'm thinking the certain discernment in our family is different than the word judgment, right? Yeah. I made all my kids take Latin. They're still butthurt about it. They'd rather take when you're a biomedical engineer, you're
That's
taking
right.
Okay? We're going to learn the root of all the words.
Absolutely.
So the discernment for our family is different than judgment. Right. Okay. Judgment is, in us, a value statement. What's right, what's wrong. Discernment is what is right for you. Mm-hmm. Right. And so they were telling me, is he right for you? It's not that they didn't like him, but they did not like him for me.
Yeah.
And I asked him when we came up into my condo, so how did it go with my kids? Like, so tell me more. Got nothing. He's shaking the Cosmo for me and I get nothing. They're polished. I forget what he exactly said, something about them being polished. I'm like, okay, but what did you really talk about? Like, what was it? And he then talks about the boys, saying that they verified that I do like football as much as I've been telling him I like football. Anyway, so I still don't get anything out of him upstairs in the condo. So when we go to the pool deck, I'm still like, all right, what happened? Like, I have some concerns here about how my kids are responding to you. And if you are not in with my kids, I can't make this a new family. This is not going to work for me. And I'm really, really, really into you. Help me out here. And I got nothing. And so that's kind of the backstory of why I was kind of pushing him a little bit more at that phase. It was a super fun day, but I'm like, something happened. My kids can't tell me anymore because they're gone. Yeah. And you're not saying anything. Matter of fact, you seem to be pulling back. So what is going on?
I mean, I think there's an interesting thing that happens with leads. I mean, every lead is different, obviously. But the kind of most common story you hear from leads is that they know on night one who their top 3 people are usually. Sometimes they know who the ring winner is on night one. Nick Viall, season 21, famously said that he knew night one, Vanessa Grimaldi would win the show. Wow. So then everything else for the lead is a job. Playing this narrative out that you still want to go on these group dates and still want to explore connections, even though that is not true. I'm not saying that was the case in your case, but it might have been the case that at some point he had decided it's Peg, but I still have to keep doing this show.
And I can tell you why.
Okay, please.
On camera, what you saw, the edited version, you might read that. What they edited out, see that? I'm not sure you'd see my door, but here in the condo, they wanted to get a shot of us. What happened off camera would not have led you to believe that it wasn't me. Okay.
I see.
So we're mic'd. They have cameras. They wanted to take a shot of us walking from my door to the elevator. So everybody leaves the condo and they're like, we'll tell you when to come out. Mel deadbolts.
Holy shit.
We might have started kissing.
Okay. Here we go.
The producers are banging on the door. Mel, he's like, just give us a minute. You can't make this up. And it was precious. It's super sweet. And that's the part of Mel that nobody got to see in the show. He was very playful and very fun.
But like that moment you're describing, show us that. Show us, even if the cameras are out in the hallway, show us the producers pounding on the door and being like, Mel, come out of there. That's amazing. That's an amazing moment between you two. It humanizes him. It makes him funny, charming, all that stuff. And it's just not in the show.
And I'm such a rule follower. I'm like, we really should go. Like, we're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move to the fantasy suite. Obviously, there were, kind of problematic signs from the beginning. When you guys go out into the ocean and you're swimming around with the manta rays, and he's like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, what, dude? It's your fantasy suite date. You kind of have to do that. And he refused. I don't know if that was, somehow an emotional reaction to just like, he's like you're saying, he's wanting to pull back from everything, or if he really has a fear of these creatures. What do you think that it was?
No. Okay. So we'll have to ask Mel, but let me give you a hot take. My hot take. So the first time that I drove in a car with him is when he picked me up for the Stingray date.
Okay.
We were talking in the car, like, this is so crazy that here I am with the guy that I might be engaged to at the end of the week. And this is the first time I've seen you drive. Are you a good driver? Like, tell me your driving background.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of an important thing to know about your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so laughing about that. And he's like, I really do drive speed limit. And I'm like, well, I'm about a speed limit plus 7 to 10%. Like, just under a ticket.
Yeah.
But so we get there and he says he wants to see me out of my comfort zone. And then we do an activity that I've already done and that's definitely out of his comfort zone. And I'm like, this will be funny. And when we get into the water, I don't realize how deep it is at the end of the ladder. I can't stand. I'm literally up to here in water. I can't even stand on my tiptoes there.
Okay.
I'm going to swim out to where it's shallower for me to even stand. I mean, I'm 5'3" and he's 6'2".
Yeah.
So there's, a big difference from where Mel can be. So anyway, I go out and then I'm thinking Mel's going to follow me. And he doesn't follow me. And I'm like, Freid, are you okay? What's going on? He's like, well, I don't know. They're kind of big. And I'm like, I'm fine as long as you don't kick him. Just shuffle your feet. Here's some tips like to make you feel more comfortable. And he's like, nope. And like the guy is letting me hold him. And I'm this sweet little girl. I'm holding her. And like she's named by the handlers. I wish I remembered her name. But anyway, I'm holding the Stingray and I'm having a great experience. It's just really an amazing opportunity to be with creatures of the wild. And they're so unique and, they have no phones and the handlers are telling me about them and about this pod of them. And he's just having nothing to do with it. I'm trying to like, just look, I'm holding it. They kind of feel heavy when you get them to the surface, but they're like, nothing. Yeah. And on the boat ride back, we pick up a little speed and he's like, hey, do you think you could tell him to slow down a bit? And I'm like,
Oh, Mel, come on.
No, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm still having a great time. Well, I think that he for a 6'2" guy, like the perception is back to the perception that you and I talked about earlier about me. I don't like people to make an assumption about me. We think NFL player is 6'2", he's fearless, but he's a very cautious guy. You saw it in the buggy with Peg, and nothing wrong with that. Just unexpected.
Sure.
Physical appearance.
Totally. But also it's like one of the jobs of the lead in any Bachelor season is to do the things the producers are setting up for you, especially the ones that are outside your comfort zone. I mean, geez, Hannah Brown on her season 15 of Bachelorette bungee jumped naked off of a trellis. It's like they're asking Mel to like pet a sea creature and he can't do it. We just found that like endlessly hilarious, but it also kind of at least tonally matched what happened later that night, which was again an unwillingness to engage in the premise of the show. You have this crushing conversation with him where he basically says, I don't want to get married. I just want to keep dating somebody from the show for a couple of years. And you're like, I think you said the logo has a wedding ring in it, which was my line of the season. It was like, yes, exactly correct. So what is it like in that moment where like the everything's falling into place for you? You're finally realizing and accepting this guy is not here to really be the Bachelor.
He told me on night one in our little one-on-one conversation, I said, what are you looking for? What is it? What type of women are you looking for? He said, I honestly don't know. Mm-hmm. And I thought by going on the show, I'd have an opportunity to take a look at a lot of different types of women, a lot of different personalities, physical characteristics, lifestyles, and be able to figure out by the end kind of what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And that always stuck in my head, like, and you got to give him grace. He has not been dating, and I've been there, and I know where I was when I first got divorced to where I am now. I've evolved and I've honed down what I'm wanting, and he just wasn't at that place. And looking back, I probably shouldn't have had faith in him that he could get there through this process. But I do believe this process can help someone figure it out. But here we're left on the island with two women who might be the furthest apart in our characteristics of any two of the cast members. Mm-hmm. And you still can't decide.
Yeah.
And you still haven't figured out what your life would look like with me or with her or with no one.
Yeah.
I was very frustrated because the next day I would have met his kids, and that's a privilege to me. And I went through the process of thinking about, what do I want to know from the kids? How do I share myself with them in a comfortable way where they get to know me, but I really get to know them? Like, how does it feel comfortable for them to open up to me? And what is it that I want to know? And then I stopped myself and I thought, I wonder if Mel had these same considerations when he met my kids.
Yeah.
And I think I thought far more about it than he did meeting mine. And I thought more about what it would be like to be back in the bleachers again, watching these guys play sports, which I'm all for. Like, sign me up for that lifestyle again. I would expand my life to include Mel's life and the life of his fabulous boys. Mm-hmm. I've thought about that. Why hasn't this man thought about it? If you haven't thought about it, you're not going to be able to lead a woman like me into a relationship. So that's when I was like, this is not for me. The other thing that hit me, I did it for me for sure, but I thought if any of my three girls were sitting here listening to a man give them this, it's time to go.
Yeah.
That was just a further affirmation of it's time to go.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, we always say self-elimination is basically a cardinal sin in this game because you're cutting your screen time. You're eliminating yourself from the game. You don't know what could happen in any successive phase of the game. However, your self-elimination was my play of the season. It is maybe one of the greatest plays in the history of any Bachelor product because of the way you did it, the tone that you put on it, and it's backed up by what we call 4TRR, for the right reasons. You're essentially laying out to him, I'm more for the right reasons than you are, and you're the lead of the show. Like, you can't even uphold the basic premise that you will be engaged for marriage to someone by the end of this season. And I think the way you did it, honestly, I don't know if there's going to be another season of Golden, because this one was not too well received ratings wise. But I think Taylor Frankie Paul coming in as Bachelorette next year is going to kind of revitalize the entire franchise. I think there will be a Golden. They now, if they're keeping in the same pattern they've done for the past 2 years, it will be a Golden Bachelorette. I think what you did in that self-elimination puts you at the number one spot of Golden Bachelorettes. I can't see them going to anybody else from your season before you, if that's something you might be interested in.
Well, what I've loved about listening to you throughout the season and Lizzie is it helps me forget about the humanity of what I also experienced. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to get the award of, MVP and play of the season, but it still hurt.
No, of course. And I don't mean to make it sound like we don't see that part of that. This game to us, like that's why it's
no, but it really was helpful. I'm telling you, it was like therapy for me to kind of, help that be a bandage. And thank you for saying that. And the franchise does not owe me a husband. I could probably.
I don't know about that. I kind of think they do, but that's just me.
After their pick for the Bachelor, I don't know that I can trust them to find 20 men to 20 suitors for me. I'm just kidding. I think they would do just fine, but I was really in it.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying. That's like the whole way we look at the game, and the reason this is literally my favorite sport, way above and beyond all other sports, is that it meshes like if however calculated you may or may not want to be, it meshes like super calculated gameplay mechanics that are baked into this very rote game system with the most sensitive human emotions we have, falling in love and getting over past pains and traumas and all this stuff. There's no other sport like that. You may have emotional outbursts or like interactions in any other standard sport, but they're all related to what's happening in the game. If you're getting mad or excited or whatever, this is something completely different. And that's why I think it's the hardest game to play. And it's why it's my favorite game. And yeah, I think the way you handled all of it, the emotions that very clearly, I mean, even now you're tearing up about this, however many months after it. I just think that you handled both the emotional side of it amazingly, as well as the gameplay side, whether you are aware of it or not. Maybe you're just a natural. That happens for sure.
It actually makes me giggle to think about, because I'm completely unaware of it, but it's been fun to watch mechanics of it. It's the engineer in me, like, okay, I can see this. And I see, how this is replicatable season after season. You change the dynamics, but the dynamics are still there, but a little bit uncomfortable situation. Let's see what happens. And
for sure. But you would be open then to being the Golden Bachelorette?
I hope not to be on the market when that comes around again.
It's coming. They're going to start shooting that probably. If they do it, they'll probably start shooting it around May or so of next year. That's not that far.
What would you have me
6
say,
months.
Coach?
Oh, right now, if you want to be the Golden Bachelorette, you mean? I think you say probably exactly what you just said. Again, you're a natural. I think that exact thing. I hope to not be on the market then is exactly the right thing to say.
Yeah.
If you want to
I would be flattered if anybody would want to witness me in another season. I would be flattered. And, but honestly, this was a great experience. I loved the women. I had a great time with Mel. I had it like top to bottom. It was awesome. It was a lot. And it was a lot.
Well, if you do get that call and you do want to be the Golden Bachelorette, let me know if you want to, receive some information.
I think we ought to play it raw. We're not making this a game. I'm gonna play it raw and I'll listen to your commentary if that happens. I think that would be
fantastic.
Even more fun.
Yeah. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for joining me and having this conversation. Again, my hat's off to you. I think you turned in one of the greatest seasons of play in the history of any part of the game, the young game, the golden game, paradise, any of it. It really was remarkable to watch what you did. And thank you for your service to our beloved game.
I am honored to have your awards. I would rather have the man But if I can't have the man, getting your awards like really means a lot. And I've just enjoyed the heck of it. I ran into someone last night at a party and recognized me, but not from the show. They recognized me from your replays. And they didn't even watch the show. They only watched the season on your replays. And I'm like, okay, now you got to give Hulu a pass and go, watch me reel on Hulu too. But they knew me from watching. They said hello from the pit. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that was a fun experience for you. It's always interesting to get approached by people from the pit. But yeah, for sure. Everybody go watch this season. If you just listen to our recaps of it, watch it for what Cindy did in it. Just some fantastic gameplay, some kind of game breaking stuff, some real out of the box thinking in terms of how to manipulate the system. Just loved everything you did.
I call it just living my own life. So
yeah, for sure.
Besides the same coin, it's a privilege to meet you, though. I've really just enjoyed this session, but the whole season sharing with you.
Anytime you want to come back, the door is always open.
Well, we have some other things to talk about, I bet.
I'm ready. All right, Cindy, thank you for joining us. And thanks, everybody, for joining us as well. We'll be back soon.
Thank you. And good luck to Lizzie.
Yes, indeed. Good luck, Lizzie.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us. And then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast.